Now, on the item 14, members, the appointment, the nominations for a vacancy on the Delta Independent Science Board. You recall we, at the recommendation and in consultation with the lead scientist, appoint members of the board. Dr. Goodwin.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the microphone working?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Great. I think, Mr. Chair, you'd also asked me just to talk a little about the timeline and process. I'll keep that very brief if you want to know more details. But this is something that we take extremely seriously in the science program. Getting the right people on the Independent Science Board is very, very important. So first of all, Dr. Hood served the ISB with great distinction, and we really appreciated his honesty. He was appointed as Vice President at the University of Maryland, and just realized that he just simply couldn't do both jobs at the level that he needed to. He has expressed that he is still very willing to support your activities in terms of review panels, but he just didn't have the time in 2014. So we'll definitely be taking him up on that offer. So he resigned May the 16th, and the ISB is not directly involved in this process. We don't want the sense of it being incestuous. But they do give us very clear direction on the skill set and the types of experience that they're looking for. The announcement was put together at the end of May. It was posted on the webpage from June the 17th to September the 3rd. And as part of that, it was advertised very widely. The reason for the long period is that many fish biologists, the summer is their field season, and we wanted to make sure that they had time to put in their applications. We also received nominations and suggestions from members of the council, from the ISB, and the Board of Science community. So I had many, many conversations with different people, encouraging them to apply. The results of that is it's really deepened our review panel pool. So our expertise. So it was a very valuable exercise to go through. But the fact is that many people at that level are just so busy, and with the amount of time for the ISB, it's very challenging. We then went through a review criteria. As it says in the Act, these have to be nationally and internationally recognized scientists. So we approached that in a very quantifiable way. They were judged on relevance of scientific experience, their scientific accomplishments, including publications. This isn't just number, but citations or the impact factor, awards, seniority, the diversity of research funding, potential conflicts of interest, and of course the availability of the applicant. From that, we developed a shortlist and took references for each of the applicants. We were shut down October 1st to the 21st with a federal furlough. Many of the references were actually federal employees. We then went through a series of phone interviews with the top applicants and came up with the final recommendation. So are there any questions about the process? There's a lot of steps in there. It's well documented.
And it's very clear to me from just going through this very long CV that he meets the requirements of a fish biologist. But is that the specialty that the board recommended you consider?
Yeah, so the direction, to encapsulate it very briefly, they said, could you clone Dr. Hood? As you're aware, he's very sharp. His input is always insightful. So they wanted a fish biologist, and I can just run through. I'm not going to read the 56 pages of his resume, but I thought I might just highlight a few things so you're aware of his expertise. He's currently a professor in the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife. He's just stepped down as the director of Oregon Sea Grant Program, and as you know, we have very close relationships with California Sea Grant. And while he was director, they actually won several national awards, as you can see from his resume. Also in his experience, he was director of the NOAA Great Lakes Research Laboratory for a number of years. He also served as the acting deputy assistant administrator of NOAA for several months. So he's one of these people that's really had a foot in both camps. Despite that administrative load, he's kept up a very active research profile. He's currently working on the Northwest Pacific, Chesapeake Bay, and the Gulf. And just some of his studies I thought I would highlight, so you don't need to go through it, but some of his current activities are very interesting. He's just wrapping up an adaptive integrated framework for managing impacts of multiple stresses in coastal systems. So he's really got a lot of experience of trying to tease out the role of different stresses. He's also done several studies on fish predation. He's also done research on the adaptive management process, and in particular during the interview process, they did a very nice adaptive management on salmon, particularly the role of hatcheries, how much you stock in order to get fish of certain sizes. And he's also done some very formative work on bioenergetic modeling, which is important, particularly when you're looking at the various stresses. He also has served on several similar advisory boards, including he currently chairs the Oregon Science and Technology Advisory Committee for the Governor's Ocean Policy Advisory Council. His publications are their remarkable research effort. So before I pass it over to you, I would also like to thank the many very top-level scientists who were in that final poll. Any of them would have been a great fit for this program. So just publicly, I would like to thank them for putting their names up, for taking the time for putting it in, and certainly we would like to engage many of those people in Delta activities in the coming months. So I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay. Mr. Nordhoff.
Peter, Professor Brandt seems eminently qualified, the freshwater and the saltwater and all the rest of that. Will he have the time to devote to this?
That was one of our screening criteria, absolutely. So he stepped down over the summer as the director of the Oregon Sea Grant program, and what he indicated was that he now holds an endowed research professorship with a lot of flexibility.
Good.
And so he is willing, should he be accepted by you, that he says he can move things around and even participate in the BDCP review. So he's ready to go and was very excited by the possibility.
You had to miss yesterday's meeting, but you would have enjoyed the fact that there was a conference call in by one of our science board members currently at the Brandt Research Station in French Polynesia to participate in the meeting. The kind of thing that happens when you get people with national and international.
Bora Bora.
Yeah. No, it was Pau Pau Morea.
Which is...
it was really quite enjoyable, and the connections were terrific. He could hear and we could hear him. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on this issue? Comments, questions, members of the council? Is there a motion?
Second.
Move Ms. Gray, second Mr. Nordhoff to accept the nomination and ratify the appointment, starting with Mr. Nordhoff.
Nordhoff, aye.
Johnson, aye.
Damrell, aye.
Fiorini, aye.
Eisenberg, aye.
Rustoller, aye.
Gray, aye.
Okay. 7-0, and if you would welcome Dr. Brandt to it. And if there's a chance that when the science board is meeting pretty near when we are, maybe there's an occasion where you could at least have him drop by so that all the council members could say hi. That would be good. If not, we'll catch him the following month.
Well, actually, just getting him up to speed, that's a good idea. I think it would be worth bringing him down.
By the way, you did tell him how much work was involved in the months to follow. No hiding the ball. He won't be shocked.
No, actually, what we did, we were very numerically oriented. We actually looked at what this year the ISB members, and of course there's a big variation because they tend to lead initiatives at different times. So we actually gave him very precise numbers and told him that the first 2 months of next year, don't put anything on your calendar because this review is going to be all-consuming.
Good. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's go to item number 15.